Hello and welcome back. This is Chris with Marksman Shooting Sports in Westfield, Indiana, and you are watching Marksman TV. Into this, we do have a tabletop review and comparison of the Glock 17 Gen 4 9mm and the Century Arms Canik TP9SA, also 9mm. We will start off with an unboxing and then we will move through a point-by-point comparison of the two. If you've been here before, you know the drill. Stay tuned, that's coming up right now. Alright, we'll go ahead and start with the unboxing of the Glock 17. It does come in a hard plastic case. I'll go ahead and open it up here. Inside you will find the handgun. We'll go ahead and check it clear. It does come with one 17-round magazine inserted, and we also get two additional 17-round mags, making a total of 3. Right here we do have a speed loader, and there is the interchangeable backstrap panels. There's a total of 4. Here is the gun safety lock, cleaning brush, and cleaning rod. Underneath this panel, we do have a little packet here that has our warranty information and instruction manual, and that is it. Getting on over into the Canik TP9SA, we also have a hard case, which is great that this comes with a hard case at this price point. We'll go ahead and open it up. Inside, starting here, we will find the handgun inside of a holster. Go ahead and remove that. There is a loaded chamber flag here, so I'll remove that out of the way. Inserted, we do have one 18-round magazine. Over here is an additional 18-round magazine, making a total of 2. Here is a interchangeable backstrap, which is larger than the one that is already installed on the firearm. Gun safety lock here, and a speed loader. Over in this little section here is a little, it's the interchangeable backstrap tool. And then this is the back portion of the holster, giving a nice little panel. Cleaning brush and cleaning rod up here in the top portion, and instruction information, warranty information here. Alright guys, starting off and getting into the specifications of the two, starting with price point. This is a Gen 4 Glock, which can be found in about the $530 to $560 range, kind of in between the $500 to $600 range. The Gen 3 Glocks can be found a little bit cheaper than that, generally about the $489 to $500, $520 range, of course depending on your area. The differences are the Gen 4 Glock does have more aggressive stippling on the grip, does come with 3 magazines instead of 2, does have interchangeable back straps, has a larger magazine release, and a double guide rod and recoil spring system, similar to what you find in the baby Glocks. They now have that in all the handguns. Over here, the Canik TP9SA can be found in about the $300 to $350 range. That's kind of a main point of this video, is to say, striker-fired handguns, this is significantly cheaper, but are you getting significantly less in the TP9SA? So we'll move through those points as well. Getting into the specs, the Glock 17 is an overall length of 8.03 inches. It is a height of 5.43 inches. The barrel length is 4.48 inches. And it does have an overall weight of 25.06 ounces. That's unloaded. Going over to the TP9SA, it does have an overall length of 7.5 inches and a height of 5.6 inches. The barrel length is 4.5 inches, and it does have an overall unloaded weight of 22.72 ounces. We'll go ahead and talk about the slides first. Now, first of all, this is the Cerakoted FDE or tan coloration scheme on it, with the black accented parts like the ejector, the barrel, the sights, the backstrap, trigger, magazine release, all those things. You can get this in a solid black configuration. Over here on the Glock, factory-wise, there are some that did come with the Cerakote. Look back at our Glock 26, and the video comparison we used is actually our video talking about firearm colors. So they did put out some factory Cerakoted options, but by and large, generally this is what you're getting, is that nitron finish on the slide. And then they do have different options in the frame, such as flat dark earth and combat gray, and they just recently released an OD green configuration as well. TP9SA does have a steel slide, which is machined. Bringing this in close for you, like I mentioned, this does have the tan Cerakoted finish. Moving into the back, you do have rear slide serrations. Here's your ejector here. You don't have any front slide serrations, but there is a little bit of a bevel up here at the front, which you can grab for press checking. Here up at the front, you do have the TP9SA graphics up here. On this side as well, you do have the rear slide serrations as well as the Canik roll markings here as well. Up at the top, there is a loaded chamber indicator. Now, your slides are dovetailed on both the front and the rear and are drift adjustable, but there is no elevation adjustable. These sights are steel in construction, and they are in a 3-dot and post configuration. So you have your 3 dots here. There's also a little post that I don't really know what the other term for that would be, but a post or a line that'll line up with the front sight when your sights are aligned, which gives you a little bit of that additional advantage in terms of aligning your sights and getting that quick target acquisition as well. While we're back here, you will see that there is an armed striker indicator. This is not a loaded chamber indicator, but when you see that red through that porthole, you know that the striker is armed and ready to fire. When the trigger is depressed, of course, that drops out of sight. Similar to what you see on a XD with the little rear pin or a VP9. Also at the top, you do have this ribbed type texture here to mitigate any type of glaring on the top of the slide. And then also back here, this is a Decocker. So this is an SA or single action. So of course, that is one unique feature about this, that when that striker is armed, you can press up here at the top, dropping that out of the way, just like that. Now the interesting thing is, because this is not double action, it is single action only. By pulling the trigger, you can't fire the pistol. So if you do have a round chambered and you want to drop the striker, of course your round will stay chambered, but you won't be able to pull the trigger without racking the slide again. Just a little bit counterintuitive and a little bit of an odd design. But of course, with just a little bit of pressure to the rear, even about that much, is all you need to go ahead and bring that striker back and activate it, so you don't have to fully rack the slide. So I'll show you that again. So decocked, just a little bit, just that much, and we can fire it again. Now they did come out with a newer version called the TP9V2, which is double action, and it allows you, of course, that feature to not have to rack the slide again, which is definitely an improvement over this design. Bringing in the slide on the Glock, of course, this is a gas nitride finish, also synonymous with a melanite. It's a nitrogen-infused case hardening process, of course, giving you this black finish. There are rear slide serrations in the back. There are none up front. I know they just released a model where they do add slide serrations up to the front as an option to you, so there's kind of like the RTF2, just a different, a little minor configuration change there if that is interested, or if you're interested in something like that. Your ejector is here, which does double as a loaded chamber indicator, so that'll pop out a little bit. You should be able to feel that it is loaded, or that there is a round chamber when that's protruding just a little bit. On this side as well, you do have your rear slide serrations, and of course your Glock caliber and model designation roll marks up here at the front. Up here at the top, it's pretty plain on the top. The front sight post does have a little hex screw underneath, which you can get to after disassembly. The back sights are drift adjustable. They are dovetailed, so they are windage adjustable. They are not adjustable for elevation. They do have that horseshoe and dot or U-dot configuration, which some people like, some people don't. But of course, you can switch those out if you don't like those sights. And the sights are polymer in construction. So let's go ahead and talk about the trigger, starting up here with the TP9SA. The trigger does have a very vertical look to it. It is also polymer in construction, and it does have this trigger safety lever here, which of course needs to be depressed to follow through and pull the trigger. The trigger pull itself is really nice. We'll go ahead and show there's a little bit of take up about that far until you're almost touching with the rear of the frame itself. Once you get there, you hit that wall, and then it's from that point just a very, very smooth break. Not much more tension needed. So you can really, if you get used to where that take up stops, you can stage it easily, and just a little bit of pressure there fires it through at about 5.5 pounds of pull. Bringing it back, we do have a little bit of travel to just right there, almost a very, very quick reset, which is actually very nice. Of course, from that reset, you're already staged and can go ahead and pull through again. Also, I like to point out this really nice and large trigger guard, which I'll talk a little bit more about when we get into the frame, but very nice, allowing you to get your finger in there if you have on large winter gloves. Moving into the Glock Trigger, it is also polymer in construction and also does have that trigger safety, which was actually pretty much made popular by Glock. They were not the first to do this, but they were the first to make it very popular. Looking at the trigger pull, we do have a little bit of take up there, which does have a little bit of a spongy feel. Now, I am personally used to Glocks. I shoot them quite a bit. what I carry on me when I'm in my store is a Glock 17. So I'm used to it, but to some people it does feel a little bit spongy, and there is a little bit of, you can definitely feel the difference after I just played around with the trigger on the TP9. But anyway, you do get a little bit of take up there. Again, you hit that wall, you know you're there, and then from there, it's just a nice clean break. A little bit more pressure has felt like I needed to go ahead and break the trigger other than on the TP9, but really not bad. Taking a look at the reset, we'll go ahead and have a little bit of travel to about right there, a longer travel to reset than we saw on the TP9. But again, after the reset, you're right there ready to go again, and then pull through. So let's go ahead and get into the disassembly of the TP9SA. So I will start by removing the magazine. I can go ahead and leave the striker armed, and then there are two tabs on either side, one right here and one right here. I can go ahead and just, without having to bring the slide to the rear at all, I can just go ahead and push down on those, and that'll bring my slide forward just a little bit. You'll feel it move on you. You may not have seen that in the camera. Then I can drop my striker, which will then allow me to pull the slide off the frame. Sorry if that looks a little clumsy, I'm doing this backwards. Now, here's my frame, of course. Here's the slide. On the inside, there is a recoil spring, which is a single guide rod and spring configuration. This is a steel guide rod in construction. Go ahead and set that guy aside, and then I can go ahead and grab the barrel from the inside, and we are fully field stripped. Jumping over into the Glock, I will go ahead and start by removing the magazine and checking that I'm clear, and I am. I'll go ahead and drop the striker by pulling the trigger. Now, there are two disassembly tabs, one here and one here as well. I need to bring a little bit of spring tension off the slide first, so I will do that by grabbing it like this, bringing the slide back slightly, grabbing both of those tabs from underneath the pistol, pulling both tabs down, and then while holding them down, releasing the slide, allowing it to come forward. Underneath here as well, there is the captive or double recoil spring assembly that I mentioned earlier. So we'll go ahead and grab that and pull it out, and then I can push the barrel out, and we are fully field stripped. All right, now let's go ahead and take a look at the frames, starting off here with the Canik TP9. I'll go ahead and bring this in for you. So bringing this in for you, of course, this is a polymer frame in construction. It does have that FDE tone to it. Starting off here with the grip, this does have on either side really nice texturing here on the left and right side grip panels as well, with your little Canik logo here on the bottom. This is not over aggressive. It feels really nice, like very light grain sandpaper is how it feels to me. Now on the front strap, you do have these sort of pyramid shape stippling. If you're familiar with like the CZ P10C that just came out, if you've ever played with one of those, this is a very similar texture. On the back, you have also the same texture, which is kind of those pyramid or molded ridges that are pretty aggressive. So you do have more aggressive gripping texture in the front and the rear, around the meat of your palm and the front gripping surfaces of your fingers, where it leaves you a little bit of less aggressive grip texture on either side of the frame here. Now this back strap is interchangeable, so there is a cross pin here. There is a tool to remove that, which comes with the handgun. The other grip panel that it comes with is slightly larger, so if you do want that larger grip swell, or if you're sharing this with somebody else who has larger hands, that option is there available for you. The magazine release button has a really nice and positive tension on it, and it is have a really nice texture to it as well. Easy to get to. The good thing is this is reversible, so it can be taken out and replaced on the opposite side if you are a left-handed shooter. Moving on up, we do have grooves up here for both your trigger finger and your thumb, whether you're shooting from both the left or the right hand. The trigger guard I mentioned is enlarged, which is great for allowing your your fingers to get in there if you are wearing thicker gloves. And there is some serrations up here on the front as well if you want to wrap a finger around the front. You do have a nice cut here as well, allowing the top of your middle finger to rest in there a little bit nicer as well. Up at the front, you do have a 1913 pick rail, so you can mount your lights, lasers, anything else you want to do like that. Of course, your slide stop lever is located on the left-hand side, so really only accessible by a right-handed shooter. It cannot be switched to the other side, and it is not ambidextrous. And of course, right here are your takedown levers. Now, the internal chassis system is made of steel, so all of your main important components, ejector, trigger bar, all of those components as well are made of steel. Now, There are two little steel tabs right up here as guide rails, but the rest of the rail is polymer. Not the most durable design I've seen, but probably doable. Again, this is about a $350 handgun, so it really has about everything you need, and it looks pretty durable, and like it should definitely hold up well. Moving over into the Glock 17, of course, this is polymer in construction as well. Now, one of the changes they did make on the Gen 4 is the magazine release button itself is reversible. Unlike on the Gen 3s, you do have more aggressive stippling. So the stippling on this, definitely at least on the sides, is more aggressive to me than on the TP9. You do have those backstrap panels, so there is a roll pin here which you can punch out. The tool is included with the firearm. Now this does not come off. The other panels just slide over it, and you replace that little roll pin there to keep those on. And two of those straps do have elongated beaver tails. So if you do have really large hands that tend to get slide bite, that option is there for you as well. And of course you have nice finger grooves up here at the front. The magazine release itself is polymer in construction and does have a very nice ribbed texture to it. Like I said, it is reversible. The trigger guard itself is a little bit smaller than on the Canik. So of course with that trigger staged a little bit forward, which it would be when it's ready to fire, you're not going to have a lot of extra room in there for large gloves. The front of the trigger guard itself does have a ribbed texture as well. And up at the front you do have a pick rail as well for mounting any of your favorite lights or lasers. The slide stop release lever is also not ambidextrous. It is only located on the left-hand side, and it is steel in construction. Here's your two takedown tabs, and then all your internal components are steel in construction. The guide rails are longer. You have steel all the way back here and up at the front with a little bit of polymer in the middle. So a little bit more reinforced and stronger than I saw on the Canik. Does that mean the Canik's not going to hold up as well? Maybe not. Maybe it will. I don't have extensive firing or a trigger time behind one, so I can't tell you for sure. I have owned my personal Glock 17 for about 8 years with thousands of rounds through it, and I haven't had an issue. So the Canik will probably be okay as well. The internal components, again, your ejector, trigger bar, slide stop, all steel in construction as well. Finishing up here with the barrels, up here at the top, I do have the Glock 17 barrel, which is 4.4 inches in length. It is machined and also uses the gas nitride finish. Now, per Glock's webpage, this is a right-hand hexagonal rifling 1 in 10 twist. There was some speculation on the internet that they've gone from the polygonal to the traditional rifling. The polygonal rifling was supposed to have the main difference between traditional rifling and the polygonal rifling is that the traditional rifling is lands and grooves. The polygonal is hills and valleys, so there's more of a sloping fashion between the grooves, which allows less opportunity for buildup of copper and other debris to build up in those crevices. Also, it gives a tighter gas seal behind the round, causing less bullet deformation and also improving velocity. I don't know if they're making the total switch now, or if some are still polygonal and some are traditional rifling, or what's going on with that. But at least per their webpage for the Glock 17, this is known as the hexagonal rifling, 1 in 10 twist. Moving down into the Canik TP9SA, this is a 4.5 inch barrel, and it is cold hammer forged. It is also a 1 in 10 right hand twist. Now the Canik does have very nice polishing here on the feed ramp, which we don't see on the Glock. Is that going to be a hindrance for the Glock? Maybe, maybe not with some ammo types. Again, I've owned mine for a while and put all sorts of different things through it, so I've never had an issue. Of course, having a nice polished feed ramp can only help you, so that is an added benefit there as well. So getting into some final takeaways for you, again, let's talk mainly from a perspective of price point. So the Canik on general is going to be about $100 to $200 cheaper, depending on where you find each one of these. Some deals do go on, so keep an eye out for those. Do you get an extra $100 to $200 in value for the Glock, or are you losing $100 to $200 in value if you're going to something like the Canik TP9? So some of the advantages that you are getting is the overall construction, fit, and feel of this is actually really, really nice. I have not personally had, I fired one of these before, but I didn't put a whole bunch of extensive time into one. Hopefully I can do that in a video coming up. But from a lot of the reviews I've seen online, especially ones I've looked at before doing this video, the feedback on reliability and accuracy has actually been pretty nice. So it doesn't seem like you are losing a whole lot in terms of reliability on these. Now, over extended periods of use, those polymer guide rails kind of worry me a little bit. So how well would this do after 20, 30, 40, even 50,000 rounds? I'll have to delve into that and see if anybody's done any extensive work on that. In fact, if you own one of these and you put some high round counts through yours, please let me know in the comment section how it's done for you. The trigger is nice. I am a huge fan of the Glock, but I will actually say the Canik TP9SA is actually a very, very nice trigger. You do get a pretty moderate take up, about the same that you do with the Glock, but the reset is definitely noticeably better. It is shorter, and it has just a cleaner break, in my opinion. You do get the nice features out of the box, like the hard case box, interchangeable back straps. Now you do only get 2 magazines here, where you do get 3 with the Glock. The magazines are typically 30 to 35 bucks, so that's not a huge issue if you want that third magazine. The magazines do hold 18 rounds here as opposed to 17 rounds in the Glock. The sights is another thing. I like the fact that both the front and the rear sights are dovetailed as opposed to the Glock, which you will need a special tool to remove that front sight. Also, the sights are steel in construction. That is a huge plus to me. One of my biggest gripes, I like the sights and I like the sight picture on the Glock, but them being polymer makes them a little bit less robust, obviously, and if you do drop the handgun on the rear end or drop it on the rear sight, you are probably very likely to break or mar those up a little bit, whereas on something of steel construction, is obviously you're going to have less of a likelihood of that happening. You do get the nice loaded chamber indicators on both. I do like the arm striker approach on the TP9. Like you get on the VP9, I think it's a really good visual indicator for the operator behind it. One thing I just don't understand and I don't like is this Decocker. Even if you don't want to use it, it's still there, and in most holsters this is probably going to be sticking out the rear a little bit, which gives it an option for being bumped or accidentally depressed. If you are at nighttime, if you can't see the rear of that arm striker indicator, you could go to use the handgun in an emergency situation and your striker's down, you have to rack the slide. If you rack it too much, you might accidentally halfway or kind of accidentally stovepipe your already chambered round on yourself, or eject a perfectly good round. I see too much of an opportunity for fumbling. It's overcomplicated and not necessary, in my opinion. But like I said, they do have the TP9V2, which has addressed that issue. So again, take a look at that. Interchangeable mag releases on both, good feature. Larger trigger guard, I think that's really important too, especially if you are in a climate that might get colder. This is just a very small trigger guard and doesn't allow you a lot of room to get a big winter glove through there. That's about all I can think of right now as far as my takeaways. If you own personally either one of these, or maybe even both, leave me some of your takeaways down in the comment section. I would be really interested to read those, and I'm sure some other viewers would as well. Well, that is all the time I have for you today on these guys. If you enjoyed that, please go ahead and hit that like button. If you have any questions, leave those down in the comment section. Or if you want to see other videos like this, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel. This is Chris with Marksman Shooting Sports and CheapGunsUSA.com in Westfield, Indiana. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time.